Good morning, everybody. Oh, that's the wrong button. Let's try this. And good morning. Okay. So, hope you guys had a great weekend. It is Monday morning, and I hate to say it, we're going to talk about Russell Brand a little bit more this morning. Sort of. Russell Brand is kind of the celeb du jour for a conversation that we need to continue to have, and that's why I'm back to talking about him again. We covered him twice last week. I touched on him briefly as part of a bigger conversation on Monday last week, and then Cameron and I, of course, covered him for Woke Wednesday. So, but in the interim, there have been two developments. But I'll give you the quick kind of summary. So, Russell Brand is a lefty guru type of guy, comedian, actor, and he's a funny guy. Recently, over the last couple of years, he's been doing this talk show on YouTube and the like. Tim Lowry says that Rumble shows offline. That's weird because I'm seeing it. Anyway, I'll take a peek at that in just a second. But anyway, so Russell Brand, he basically self-proclaimed communist. I'm not sure if he's vegan or vegetarian, but you know, he does some of that health food guru stuff, and you know, in a lot of ways, from the right off the rip, he's just kind of a very boilerplate liberal. But over the last several years, he's been slowly. It's been a genuine pleasure to watch him slowly get red-pilled, like Dave Rubin or Tim Pool and several others. Amusingly, what Russell Brand has gotten red-pilled on. I see Alex. I see you over there watching on Rumble. Thanks for that, brother. Good to see you there. What he's been getting red-pilled on has been referred to as conspiracy theory stuff, but it's stuff like, you know, Russell Brand was a big voice early on when the Wuhan lab theory was referred to as a conspiracy theory, and he's been one talking about masks and the ineffectivity of masks. He's been one talking about the vaccines, which, you know, first they told us that the vaccines were 100% effective and that having a vaccine guaranteed that you could not get COVID and you could not spread COVID. We now know that they weren't wrong. Okay, we now know this conclusively. It's not that they were wrong, it's that they lied. Like Fauci and the masks, Fauci's original position on the masks was you don't need the masks. In fact, it would be irresponsible to wear the masks. He even went so far as to describe, here are several reasons you shouldn't wear masks. And it was things like, well, you touch your face all the time and that just gets the mask dirty and it makes the mask ineffective. Plus, while you're wearing the mask all the time, you're just kind of rebreathing your own air, so you're more likely to defeat your own immune system and make yourself more likely to suffer from the disease. These are things that Dr. Fauci explained originally, back at the beginning when Nancy Pelosi was demanding people go to Chinatown to virtue signal their anti-racism. Right? And then Fauci came out all on board for masks and double masks and triple masks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we actually got him on tape, him saying, look, the reason that we said no masks early on is because as much as we believed that the masks would be effective and we were certain of that, we were afraid that there would be a run on the masks and there wouldn't be enough for our nurses. It's like, yo, so you lied on purpose in order to deprive people what you thought was a valuable resource for the purposes of government resource allocation. And Russell Brand has been talking about that kind of stuff. Most especially, he's been going after the big pharma companies over their profit margins. And look, I'm all for a private company making money. I'm not all for a private company making money off of fraud. And make no mistake, like this is not an opinion. This is not a conspiracy theory. The entire mainstream press was on board repeating the lie that the vaccines, all of them, were 100% effective and 100% safe. If there has been one vaccine injury, if there has been one post-vaccination contraction of the disease, if there has been one vaccinated person who has spread the disease after having been vaccinated, then the fact is that the original 100% safe and effective narrative was a lie. It was fraud. And Russell Brand is correct that an enormous amount of money has been made off of defrauding the American people. Well, the people of the world. The entire planet was defrauded by these policies and by these big pharma companies and their vaccines. So, what has been the development since we talked about it on Wednesday? Well, as Tim Pool put it, this is probably the fastest confirmation of an actual conspiracy, right? Not a conspiracy theory. And people misuse that word, conspiracy. Your average English speaker hears the word conspiracy, and they immediately assume that what you're talking about is something that is false, something that is hypothetical, something that is unreal, something that is made up. Guys, I may have to cut this one short and run upstairs in just a second. Okay, no, I'm sorry. I can hear my youngest one screaming and crying. She's angry and arguing with her mother. She's not injured. Okay, got it. Mommy can handle that for a minute. I got distracted. Now I lost my spot. Hold on. Okay, so the average English speaker hears that word conspiracy and their head automatically goes to the concept of the conspiracy theory. wild conspiracy theory, they automatically start comparing whatever it is that you're talking about to things like the conspiracy theory that the entire British monarchy is populated by reptilian vampires who were descended from the dinosaurs. Like literally, they have a tendency to have the royal disease because they were lizards and they're still lizards, and those lizards are also dinosaurs, and weird shit. But a conspiracy is an activity. A conspiracy is when more than one person voluntarily enters into an agreement to engage in a particular activity. For legal purposes, we're normally in that case talking about an activity which is illicit. We're talking about a criminal conspiracy, right? A conspiracy to defraud, a conspiracy to commit crime. If you hire someone to assassinate, you hire someone to assassinate your husband so that you can grab that inheritance, you're engaged in a conspiracy to commit murder. That's what a conspiracy is. Now we've seen the letter from the British PM, and Rumble. Hey, I'm looking at you guys over there on Rumble. Thanks for watching on Rumble. Rumble, unlike YouTube, you fucks, has stepped up in a big way. And this is going to be part of why it's still important to have this conversation. And like I said, the activity of censorship and conspiracy and fraud that's being perpetrated is the more important piece of the conversation than talking about Russell Brand himself. He just happens to be the current celeb du jour for this particular conversation. Rumble slams British lawmakers over disturbing demand to demonetize Russell Brand after sexual assault allegations. And before I get much further, I just want to remind you all that is key here. That's an important piece of the equation. We're talking about allegations. Okay? The whole thing about sexual assault allegations, we're talking about allegations that are more than a decade old, which are being made by women who were sought out and paid by reporters. Right? Basically what happened here is a couple of reporters went and looked up every woman that has ever been next to Russell Brand and said, hey, if we give you a couple of $1,000, will you spill some dirt? You got to know something. Right? Tell us he hates puppies, or tell us he once wiped his ass with a kitten. If you could tell us he raped you, that'd be great. We'll pay you double. Right? Literally what they did is they went around and asked women who have met Russell Brand if they would spill the dirt for money. And there's a reason that of the 4 supposed accusers, 3 of them have remained anonymous. So Rumble, a self-styled anti-censorship video site popular among right-wing commentators. Okay, anti-censorship, right-wing commentators, and conspiracy theorists. They're trying to do something with the language here. They're trying to poison the well against Rumble. This article's from Forbes magazine, by the way. They slammed British lawmakers on Wednesday for asking whether it would stop Russell Brand from making money on the platform owing to allegations of sexual assault, shunning what it said was a cancel culture mob and painting the comedian as another culture war victim. And the letter, I didn't pull the letter up for this story, but the letter says, in the letter, the British Parliament says that she's deeply concerned that Brand might be able to make profit from his content on the platform, and asked if he was still able to monetize content in light of the serious allegations against him. So let me clear something up there too. These are not serious allegations. serious allegations are brought in a timely manner and include evidence, right? These do not. These do not include evidence. They are not timely, right? They keep saying that, they keep running the headlines that are things like Brand, who's 58, had sex with a 16-year-old girl. That sure sounds like it just happened and she's still 16. Except it happened 20 years ago. And, like, we're still talking about a 32-year-old man having sex with a 16-year-old girl. And like I've said before, I'm not defending that. I don't need to. The law is defending that, frankly. I would go so far as to say that that's creepy and weird. But creepy and weird is not the same as illegal. It's not like we're talking about drag queens performing sex acts in front of children, which is totally okay, by the way, apparently, as long as you hump that vaccine, as long as you get that poke. In the letter, which Rumble posted on X alongside its reply, I just read that, sorry. Rumble rejected Parliament's demand and said it obviously deplores sexual assault, rape, and all serious crimes, but would not bow down and join a cancel culture mob. So Rumble has said that it's not going to take any action against Russell Brand, which is the correct maneuver. Because let's be very clear, Russell Brand has been anonymously accused without evidence of some wrongdoing. And we do live in a world, right? Remember, Russell Brand is British. He's in London. So saying we live in a country where we assume that you are innocent until proven guilty. But that's a basic feature of English common law. And so Russell Brand also enjoys that very basic human dignity, that very basic civil liberty, that in the case of the accusation of a crime, you're assumed innocent until proven guilty. And this is extremely important in a logical sense, because, of course, you cannot prove a negative, right? I believe you murdered Joe. Well, I didn't. Okay, prove you didn't. I can only prove counterfactually guaranteeing exculpatory events, which is to say, while I cannot prove that I did not murder Joe, I can't prove that exact thing. What I can prove, if, say, for example, I was at a different location and I can prove that I was in another place at the same time, then I can prove that it is impossible for me to have committed the murder. Right? You cannot prove a negative unless you can easily prove, or unless you can actually prove a counterfactual to that negative. You have to have a counterfactual positive to disprove a negative. And that's why it's so very important that you are innocent until proven guilty. If you are guilty until you've proved yourself innocent, then any accusation that's made by any person for any reason requires under the law for you to generate your own exculpatory evidence, and essentially you would have to find someone to conduct an investigation on your behalf to prove the guarantee of your non-guilt. Right, now phrase it that way because you cannot prove a negative. So what we're seeing happen to Russell Brand is an accusation is made, and the functional assumption is that because he is accused, he is therefore guilty and must suffer all the slings and arrows of the punishment for that guilt. He must be eliminated. God forbid he can make money. So now we've got some new big boys jumping in on the bandwagon. Firms pull ads from Rumble platform over Russell Brand videos. So Rumble has said, we are not going to be YouTube bitches and just cancel this guy. We are not going to steal this man's livelihood and commit economic murder against a man who should be assumed innocent until proved guilty. Instead, we are going to force you to conduct an investigation, come up with some credible evidence, and convict this man in a court of law. You know, the way things are supposed to be done, according to the law. Well, a number of large companies have pulled their advertisements from the video platform Rumble, where Russell Brand broadcasts his weekly show, in the week since allegations of rape and sexual assault against the comedian came to light. The news movement reported on Friday that Burger King, ASOS, the Barbican, and HelloFresh, the recipe box delivery service, had removed their ads. Brand has 1.4 million followers on the platform. YouTube suspended Brand's ability to earn money on its platform on Tuesday, but Rumble has rejected calls to do the same. On Friday, Brand said the moves to block him from receiving advertising revenue for his videos on social media platforms have occurred in the context of the online safety bill. So, St. Michael asks, I still want to know exactly what it is that Russell Brand said that would warrant the Matrix attacking him. Well, I think it's two things primarily. He's not a big fan of big pharma, and he's not a big fan of funding the war in Ukraine, which I am pretty on board for both of those. I don't want to see more money going into the Ukraine. If you guys have watched the channel and are fans of the channel, there's you can go back to about a year ago. It's on YouTube. I'm not sure if it's on Rumble, but there's an interview with Jack Barsky that I did. It's about an hour and a half long video, I think. But I got to sit down with Jack Barsky, who was a retired KGB spy, and he and I had a very good conversation about some of the politics surrounding the war in Ukraine, and the clear fact that when you're talking about the Ukraine situation, you've got three main actors in the Ukraine situation. You've got Russia, the Ukraine, and the United States. And right now, that means that there are zero good guys in this fight. There are no good guys in the Ukraine situation. The only positive outcome for any living human today is that there is a negative outcome for all three major parties involved. If anybody doesn't lose in Ukraine, then everybody loses. Let's see. TPS report says taking away his revenue is taking away his ability to fund his defense. It's become a common leftist tactic in taking down political enemies. Yes, 100%. And it's not entirely unlike the way that the U.S. government went after General Flynn. They were like, we're going to screw you. We're going to screw you. Well, I'm going to fight. Well, I'm going to fight. Okay, we're going to bankrupt your children and take everything from them. Okay, I give up. And that's how that one went down. It was, we want you to give up and surrender, lose your home, lose your livelihood, you lose your career, lose your legacy, right? Just burn down everything you've ever worked for and earned. And Glenn said, no, I'm not going to do it. And they said, okay, fine. We'll just set your children on fire. And that's what happened to General Flynn. And they're going to try to do the same kind of stuff to Russell Brand. They're going to try to burn him down. St. Michael points out that Brand pushes New Age religion, which I know they like being pushed on the masses. He doesn't really... St. Michael, go watch a little bit of Brand's stuff. He's more like a kind of heterodox Christian. He's not exactly a Christian, but he talks about God's love and even a little bit of Jesus stuff here and there. He's not what you would think of as a traditional Christian, but he's not a crystals and oils Wicca paperback pagan type of thing either. He's definitely his own thing, and he's a little bit weird in his own thing, but yeah, honestly, check out some of his videos. He does quite a good job, and he's deeply amusing to watch. Don't agree with him on everything, but he's sharp as a whip. Just, he's still a little bit of a commie. But like a lot of them, like Tim Pool's a good example of this one. Tim Pool was a Bernie bro early on, and was super pro socialized medicine because, well, we got so much money, why don't we just take care of people? And then he started making real money and learning about taxes and math, and said, whoa, okay, that will never work. I'll have my guns, thank you. I need guns. We're gonna buy all the guns. So that's that piece. And the reason that it's important to stay on all this and to continue to talk about all this, we took down Bud Light. Bud Light is finished as a brand. Fit Life with Danny says, Russell Brand has always given me the creeps, but I know that this attack is wrong, and I'm so pissed that now I have to defend the creepy MF. I'm not a chick. Russell Brand was never my cup of tea. So as far as the creepy vibe that Danny's talking about, I'm just not plumbed to receive it, I guess. He strikes me as creepy in the same way that most Democrats do. But when you're talking about first, okay, it's a little tricky in here because you have to remember that he's not an American. And so as much as it's supposed to be the case that the rights guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States of America are assumed to be rights that are held by all humans, no matter where they live, right? This is part of the fundamental philosophy of the Constitution, right? If you live outside of the United States of America, you also have these rights. The difference between you and me, if you live somewhere that doesn't have the Bill of Rights, is that my tax money should not be used to defend your liberties. They are your liberties, and if someone is taking them from you, if someone is abusing them, then you need to do something about that. You need to take up arms and fix it. You need to take power and draft a constitution. Right? That is part of the base political philosophy of the Constitution. We believe that all men are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. Right? It's not that being an American gives you these rights. It's that being human gives you these rights. Being American gives you a collectively funded organization that carries weapons for the purpose of guaranteeing that those rights go unmolested by external tyrannical forces. So when you look across the pond where Russell Brand is being assailed by his government, it is worth remembering that we are talking about the same government that incarcerated Count Dankula and charged him a near bankrupting level of legal fees and fines for mere speech because he told a bad joke about a Nazi pug on the interwebs. It is worth remembering that that was part of the math to begin with. But an attack on one is an attack on all. So Burger King, Assos, Barbican, I don't know who Assos or Barbican are. HelloFresh, I've heard of them, I've never used them. So Burger King's gonna have to be my go-to. I'm just not gonna eat a Whopper again for a long, long time, and I suggest you guys do the same. it is important to engage in these boycotts now that we've seen how effective they can be. Okay, I gotta come back and read this real quick. Now that we've seen how effective they can be, the Bud Light treatment needs to solve all of your issues. Like I mentioned it with Liberty Safes. Liberty Safes came out and did the right thing almost immediately, and I maintained, yeah, we still need to boycott them. We still need to say no, because we cannot continue in a world where the baseline operating assumption for these tyrannical leftists is Joe Biden's position that, look, I know it's illegal. I am fully aware that as the president, issuing an executive order that says landowners can't throw people out, can't evict tenants who refuse to pay their rent, I know that's illegal. I know I'm committing a crime here. But I'm going to do it anyway and let the Supreme Court catch up. It'll take the Supreme Court several months to rule on this issue. And so I'm going to enjoy the fruits of my criminality for as long as I can. Same thing with the governor in New Mexico. She came out and she knew damn well that she was committing a crime. She is not currently incarcerated, and she absolutely should be. She should be incarcerated, waiting for a jury of her peers to convict her for the crime of the mass suppression of civil liberties under color of law, for which the penalty is up to and including death. And she should absolutely swing for that on a jury's conviction. And that's, again, not my opinion. That's the law. Right? 241, 242, and 243. Familiarize ourselves with those. They're kind of like the 10th Amendment of the U.S. legal code. So, an attack on one is an attack on all, because what we're seeing is the law is put aside. We live in a country now where essentially the law has been abolished by fiat because it is unequally applied, it is unequally evaded, and it is selectively weaponized. That is a problem. So, I thank you guys for watching this morning. I'm going to have to go ahead and put a pin in this one because I got to get my ass down to Jackson, Georgia and shoot somebody's house with a camera. And we love you, and we will see you tomorrow.